Hello everyone, and welcome to Medxtractor's introduction of its essential oil extractor. We have here's the boiler. This is a 1 gallon capacity. It has an automatic temperature control. It also has an automatic shutoff built right into it, so you can do walk-away operation. We have this custom machined top on associated with it. We have a viewport down in here. Inside here is a 2-micron Wattman type filter, 185 millimeter wide diameter, so there's high throughput even though it's a fine filter. This is the vacuum assisted condenser. There's a micro vacuum pump inside as well as a heat exchanger. We have 2 very large capacity recovery jars, 64 ounces each. You can use smaller jars if you wish, and the stand is adjustable to move height up and down. Over here, we have a third-party vacuum port. If you want to accelerate your winterization filtration rate, if you want to bring down the ethanol boiling point even further than what our micropump will do, you can hook up a standard third-party vacuum pump to that port right there. There is a backflow preventer in that circuit, and this will prevent oil from the vacuum pump from being sucked back into the system. So that is the complete system right there. We believe this to be probably the leading edge product of its type for the craft extractor. What we have here are the various parts that when combined together will comprise a Buckner type filter. This is our multi-purpose lid that we use on the boiler when we're going to be doing alcohol recovery. But when we're doing a Buckner type filter for clarifying, winterizing the extract, we'll be running it through this filter base. We have a stainless steel support structure underneath here. On the base of this, we have this, and we have the drain hole here, and a seal for the top of the boiler here. So this is a custom machined piece of material specifically designed to accommodate 185 millimeter Buckner type filter papers. With such a wide diameter, we have quite a high flow rate, even though it's a very fine filter. This is a 2.5 micron filter. So it sits on top of the support platform. We take the gasket, put it inside here like this, take the top, and we can see that there's a viewport through here, so we can watch the filtering actually going on as it's doing that. We'll put this on like this. Again, there's multiple different ways that you can attach this. You can rotate it in different directions. But essentially what's going to happen here is we're going to take our vacuum hose, which is this right here, as you can see. Okay, and it's going to go on here like this. And this end of the hose here will go into the to-be filtered fluid. The vacuum port is on this side right here. This will hook up to the condenser, and the vacuum inside there will pull the fluid through the Buckner type filter, and it will drop into the boiler below and have it ready for collection and reclaiming. So we put it on like this. The whole thing is under vacuum. We don't really need to put anything on to hold it in place, but we do it in order to provide ourselves with a very secure seal. That way, there can't be any way that any of the fluid can get around the paper filter. Many of the Buckner type filters that are available on the market do not do this, and as a result of that, you can have flow by past the actual filter itself. So we tighten that down, close up the vacuum port, and this Buckner type filter is now ready to be sat on top of the boiler and ready for the winterized filtration to begin. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to apply vacuum here. It's going to pull the fluid through here. It's going to pull it through the filter, and the filtered fluid will then accumulate inside the boiler and be ready for the next step, which is recovery. This is a concoction of isopropyl alcohol, a bunch of fractionated coconut oil, and some olive oil. It's just really meant to simulate a heavy wax load so we can see what happens during the filtration. I'm going to be running a third-party vacuum that's hooked up to our system. It's going to run through this system. I don't have to turn anything on in the system at all, but I want to keep the system in the circuit because this allows for a vapor trap in here, and it also has a backflow prevention valve in to keep oil from coming back from the pump into the solution. And it will continue running through here. We can see the filters, we can see the wax building up on the filter. This is actually a 20 micron filter because I put a lot of wax in here. And I'm just going to filter out through a relatively fast filter here first. Now we're going to take the top off and take a look and see what we've got inside. Okay. Do this. Do this. And there's a very large amount of wax in here. I will show that to you in just a moment. Let me take this off. Okay. Put this down here. Lift this off. And you can see there's a very large amount of wax in there. And I overloaded that wax on purpose so you can see exactly what is done. Now what will happen is we can take, I didn't do the whole jar of this because that is full and it needs to be replaced in order to finish off the jar. But I want to show you the color of the what's coming through here just on that first filter. And you can see here that this is quite clear. You can hear the vacuum pump running. We're running at full boil, our temperature of 62 degrees, and our recovery is occurring right now in our primary collector jar. You can see here that the primary recovery jar is full, and the system is now pushing the recovered alcohol into the secondary recovery jar. These two 64-ounce jars allow for up to just under 1 gallon of recovery. Here we have the recovered oil. This was olive oil going in, and this is olive oil coming out. There's still a little bit of residual alcohol in there. We're going to evaporate this off to atmosphere for a little bit, and then we're going to run it through the purge function. Now we have our oil right here that we've recovered after we've removed all of the alcohol from the mixture. So this is going to now be purged. This is our silicone purging tray. I've allowed the evaporation of some residual alcohol for a little while. And now we're going to pour this into the tray, put the tray in the boiler, and put it under vacuum for a long period of time. In this case, we'll do it for 48 hours. And this will allow the removal of any residual ethanol and allow the thickening of the extract. Into the purge tray, and put the purge tray inside the boiler. Put the top back on. Hook up the condenser because we're going to be pulling the vacuum through here. Okay, so we're now basically ready to go with this. Now we're going to set the timers. One of the timers is going to control the heat pulsation that goes into the boiler. That will create the temperature environment. The other timer will control the vacuum, and it will top up the vacuum over time in certain time increments. So let us set the timers now. This is going to be the boiler timer. We're going to set this at certain intervals so that the heat is pulsed into the boiler over the purge period. Ultimately, we're going to set the purge period at 48 hours. So this is how we're going to set the boiler heat for that 48 hours. Okay, so basically what's going to happen is we're going to hit that, press and hold this timing circulate button until the top line starts to blink. When that happens, we're going to set this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds of heat. Hit this again. Go to the second line. We're going to set it for 9 minutes off. And then we're going to move it to, and we're going to run this up to 48 hours. This timer is now set to run this boiler 5 seconds of heat, followed by 9 minutes of off. That sequence will run for 48 hours as soon as I start this confirm button here. Now we're going to set the second timer. It will top up the vacuum over time during the 48-hour purge period. Because we're going to be using the internal pump, we will set the vacuum at 10 minutes on, 15 minutes off. The way that we do that is we hit the switch button, hit the timing circulate button. We see a 1 blinking up here. We're going to move that up by putting the minute button to 10. So it's going to be on for 10 minutes. Okay. Going to move this up to 15. It's going to be off. Well, went past 16 is okay. So we're going to do that. So it'd be 10 minutes on, 16 minutes off. And we're going to repeat that cycle. Once again, hour button over here. And we'll hold that down until we get to, there it is. So this timer is now ready to go. Both of these functions will begin as soon as I hit the confirm buttons. This confirm button and the confirm button on the boiler heat. And then we can start our purge. We're going to run the vacuum up. That way we can be ready to maintain vacuum rather than having to wait to establish vacuum. Make sure that your vacuum pump is turned on here if you're using the internal pump. The fans are turned off. As you can see, there's no light here. The fans are not required during purging operation. Now we can see here that our little mini vacuum pump will pull somewhere around 20 inches of mercury. If we want it to be higher than that, we would hook up a third-party vacuum pump, which I'm going to do now and show you the difference. Here we have the third-party vacuum pump connected to the condenser, and we're pulling just under 25 inches of mercury at this point. We now have vacuum running on the purge. This vacuum is going to be running at 10 minutes on, 15 minutes off. That will keep the vacuum level topped up during the 48-hour purge period. The other timer is controlling the boiler heat, which is off right now. And you can hear the pump just went off, so we're now waiting for the boiler heat to come on. And it will come on at its allocated time when it begins. The vacuum gauge is holding vacuum. At present time, the vacuum pump is turned off because it's sitting in a wait state. It will turn itself back on again in about 10 minutes from now. And that on-off cycle and the heating on-off cycle will repeat for 48 hours, whereafter the machine will shut off and the purge will be complete.